What's going on, everyone? I've got 3 fat tire e-bikes lined up for us to take a look at, and we also have a special guest appearance by a Papa Citizen. He's going to give us his thoughts on these bikes. I always like to get a different perspective. He's kind enough to give us his, and today we're going to look at the Himiway Zebra, the Aventon Aventure bike, and also the Himiway Cobra. And he's going to tell us what he thinks of these bikes, which are similar, but there are a few little minor differences between them. One's step through, they're different size frames, a couple of them have torque sensors and a few little goodies like that on them. So we'll get to hear his thoughts on these bikes. I like to get someone else's perspective, so I don't have to constantly listen to myself. I think you guys appreciate it too, because he's been in multiple videos which have done very well, where he test rides bikes. Every time he comes to visit, he gets to test all the new bikes that are in the garage. So that's what we're gonna do today and hear what he's got to say. Where do you want to start?
Well, this is my third go around of testing these bikes for Brian. Today, 2 of the 3 of them are torque sensor. Have torque sensors on, which is this is my first experience with the torque sensor.
And that one.
And I guess the difference being that the pedal assist is activated by the amount of pressure you put on the pedals rather than the rotation of the pedals. Couple things I've found with the torque sensor that is good is if you ride a lot with in biking groups with other people, it's very easy to match their speed with the torque sensor. I mean, you can just pedal easily. You don't have to be jumping back and forth between pedal assist levels to stay at their speed, which was good. The other thing is when you come to a sharp turn where you have to turn between some gates or pillars or something, if you have a cadence sensor and you start pedaling and you happen to be in pedal assist 3 or 4, that bike just takes right off and gets away from you. With the torque sensor, you can go around corners relatively easy. I did like that also. And if you're a person that is buying the bike or having a bike to give yourself a little bit of exercise, you get that with the torque sensor, because you have to put forth a little bit of pressure on the pedals and work your legs a little bit to get that speed. Now the speed, the torque sensor doesn't affect the throttle. You twist the throttle and you have full power, but if you want speed with the pedal assist, you have to apply pressure. The bad points, in my mind, of the torque sensor is for a lazy person like me, who just wants to rotate the pedals and go fast. You can't do that with this. On the cadence bike, yes, all you have to do is ghost pedal and that thing will take you down the road. So that to me was the biggest difference between the torque sensor and the cadence sensor.
Yeah, I've been liking the torque sensors a lot better. So the ones that have that are the Aventon and the Cobra. The Zebra bike doesn't have the torque, it's got the cadence. I just think it makes you feel more connected to the bike, and you can ride it at lower speeds without the bike just dragging you to certain mile-per-hour marks. So I'm a fan of torque sensor. I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you had to pick one right now, you're building your own e-bike, you gonna put a torque sensor on it or cadence? Which one do you like better?
I'm gonna put a cadence sensor on it because I'm lazy. I mean, the torque sensor would be great when I'm out riding with my wife, because she only wants to go about 7-8 miles an hour, and I have a hard time backing the cadence sensor bike down to that. The torque sensor would be a good bike to ride with her.
Easier to match.
She doesn't ride very much with me. I'm usually riding by myself, so I like it the other way.
All right, well, let's start going through these bikes individually a little bit here. We're gonna start with this one. This is the Himiway Cobra 750 watt fat tire e-bike, full suspension, torque sensor. I think it goes for like $23.99 ish, and it's got this cool carbon fiber paint job on it. What did you think of this one? What are your good points, bad points? What are you?
As I mentioned before in the last videos, what I look for in these bikes is power, speed, appearance, cargo capabilities, and comfort stability. As far as the Cobra goes here, it's got plenty of power, plenty of speed. More than adequate for me. It has no cargo capabilities at all, and I don't see how you put them on, how you would put it on there.
Yeah, this is what I had to do, because there's no rack mounting points, no rear rack for it, nothing. I just had to put this handlebar bag on.
I also, you know, it's a full size bike, and it was big for me. I barely could touch the ground with my toes on both the Himiway bikes. So it was a comfortable ride, but I didn't feel quite as stable on this as I do on one that's a little bit smaller. The fat tires on these are big fat tires, and I could notice that going down the road. I didn't really want to let go of the handlebars too much on this bike. I could feel it in the steering. I mean, that you just kind of wanted to hang on to this a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of got this raked out look to it, where I don't know what you call it, from axle to axle, that length is about 5 inches longer than some of these other bikes. So it's kind of stretched out. I think that gives it a little, you know, heavier feeling in the handlebars maybe.
I mean, the seat is down at its lowest position, and I'm like 5'10", and I'm touching with my toes, so I definitely couldn't raise the seat up at all on this. Or a smaller person would, I think, struggle getting on and off.
All right, let's move on to the next one then. Talk a little bit about this new one we just got. This is the Aventure bike from Aventon. This is the 0.2 version, or 2.0, the one that's got a little bit extra goodies. They kind of revamped it a little bit for this year. It just came out. This is a step through, obviously, not full suspension. It is a 750 watt e-bike and does have a torque sensor on this as well. What do you think of this one?
Okay, again, this one, looking at my categories, it had good power, good speed. I have no problems with that. The appearance, it's kind of flashy. You know, it's got a little two-tone paint there, and I did kind of like that. It's adequate cargo capabilities on here. It's got the rear rack. It has dual brake lights on there, which I thought was kind of nice, and it's also incorporated in to turn signals, and the turn signals are timed, which it's kind of nice, where you turn the turn signal on, and after a period of so many seconds, if you forget to turn it off, it'll go off by itself. Which, if anybody that's had turn signals on your bike, half the time I don't remember to turn them on, but when I do turn them on, I never remember to turn them off. So that's a good feature. I did like that. The things I don't like about it is it's a left-hand thumb throttle. I find myself wanting to give it throttle, and I'm twisting my right hand, and it doesn't do anything. I felt this bike was a very comfortable bike. A little bit smaller frame-wise, a little bit shorter. I like this bike. I mean, I was very comfortable riding this bike.
Yeah, it's the regular frame size, not the large. So it's meant for, they say 4'11" to 5'7", but you know, like he's 5'10", I'm 6 feet tall. We can ride this easily. The seat goes plenty high, and it goes nice and low. It goes down to like 30 inches. Very accessible bike. I don't know if maybe that adds into the whole ride position. The handlebars just feel tall, and you feel upright on it. Like, I don't even want to change the ride position. It's comfortable right from Aventon. Final one here to throw in the mix is the Zebra bike from Himiway. This is the Zebra, again, 750 watt fat tire e-bike. This one comes rack and fenders included. That's a huge rear rack. I think is absolutely enormous as well. That is not a full suspension. This is not a torque sensor. This is the cadence sensor. What do you think of this one?
Well, it's similar to the Himiway as far as the ride stability and ride comfort to me. It's again got the good power, good speed. I enjoyed that. It's a basic fat tire bike. It's not real flashy with a lot of different colors on it. It looks like a lot of other ones. I did find it to be a big bike for me. Again, at my toes, where the seat with the suspension seat post on there, that's as low as that goes, and I could barely touch the ground. And I also, again, with the big tires that are on this bike, I could feel it as I'm driving down the road. I didn't really want to let go of the handlebars for too long. I didn't feel it was quite as stable as the Aventon goes. All in all, I mean, I thought it was a good bike. I mean, I
like the paint on this one, honestly. It's like a metallic gray. It's glossy. The black and gray, I don't know. I think it looks really good on there. It's not flashy, though. There's no bright colors, but I know that's one thing you really look for is the loud.
I like to turn heads.
All right, so now you've had a chance to ride all three of these bikes. If you had to pick one, or if you were going to buy one, like, what do you think? Is there one that stands out that you'd go for? Or?
Well, probably if I was to buy one for myself to ride, I'd probably buy the Aventon, just because it fits me better. I feel more stable on this bike. It's got good power and speed. I don't like the fact that it only goes 20 mile an hour on the throttle, and it is a left-hand throttle, but I probably could get used to the left-hand throttle, and you know, I don't need to go more than 20 miles an hour, but I do like the appearance. It does have the cargo capabilities. You know, as far as my second choice would go, I probably would go for the Himiway Zebra, because it does give me the cargo if I want to go uptown. It is a right-hand throttle, twist throttle on it. It is big for me, but it's a sharper looking bike, and for the price, that would be my second choice. I'm kind of mixed, because I'm not sure I like the torque sensors, and I do like the right-hand throttle. So there's good things about each one of these bikes that's hard for me to make a selection on.
Yeah, some of those things you can change. I don't know how you would remove a torque sensor and put in a cadence. I've never looked into doing that, but throttles you can change. The only catch here is if you go to try to do a twist on here, you got the trigger shifters to contend with. So you have to find a throttle that can work with those. They do exist. I've done it before. This one, actually, I put a twist on here. This had a thumb on the Cobra. It comes with a thumb throttle. I added the twist because I prefer that too. But so some of those things you can change. But some things you can't. Like adding cargo to this, they don't make a rack for it. So you'd have to make your own or find one that fits in order to get some cargo capacity on there.
Well, as I get older and less nimble, you know, my back and knees and neck don't twist like they used to, the smaller frame bike is better for me. And if I have to give up some of the features that I like to get onto a bike that I feel comfortable and stable on, that's more important than which hand controls the throttle. And
yeah, by far this is definitely the easiest to mount and ride position. I've actually changed the ride positions on both Himiway. I added taller handlebars on each bike to make them more upright. The stock handlebars are flatter and you lean over a little bit on them, so I've raised those up. But the Aventon definitely has the ride position that I prefer, and I think you prefer as well. But it's a tough choice. I'm not sure which one I would pick. I might go Cobra, actually, because I like the full suspension. That's got me. That's so comfortable. I love the suspension on this bike over here. It soaks up everything. It's such a different ride quality. And as you mentioned, like when you put the suspension seat post on this bike, it's big. You're tippy-toeing this thing.
Yeah, I can barely get on that bike.
3 inches of height added by putting the post in there, and it's not the same as the full suspension as far as comfort. But it is a more expensive bike too. It's a tough choice. I like them all. I guess I'm spoiled. Here I get to just try them all. And that's with the seat kind of tall. I mean, it's not even close to the minimum seat height.
I mean, I can fairly flat on that one. This one, on the other hand, I have to lay it down to get his leg up over
Yeah, he lays them down on the side to get up on there. But yeah, that's 510 with a suspension post in there. You're on your tiptoes. The step through is nice on this one, even though you don't even use it.
I'm not used to it yet. This one is a little better.
Yeah, that was a little bit shorter than the Zebra with the post in there. All right, well, there you go. Papa Citizen's thoughts on these 3 bikes. Maybe help you in your buying decision if you are considering a few of these bikes. Hope you found that helpful, informative, at least maybe entertaining. If you did, consider hitting subscribe. That's all for today. Thanks.